When we think world's best aimer, we think of names like Sinatra, like Scream, and Shroud all come to mind, but no one from Australia. Introducing Ethan Crunchy Laker, or better known to the community as Soniq Crunchy. Crunchy started his long competitive history not just with the beginning of Valorant, but in other FPS titles in Australia as well. He's competed in titles such as Counter-Strike, Quake Champions, Battalion, and even the Twitch rivals APAC Hyperscape event under Team Spud Hunter, where he competed with the Spud Hunter and Hey Katie to place 4th overall in the event.
Yeah, I cooked that. That was not smart.
Crunchy kicked off his career with a game many wouldn't be too familiar with, Quake Champions, the spiritual successor to the original Quake that released back in 1996. To Crunchy, Quake was his first real taste of what an FPS could be. Fast gunplay, fluid mechanics, and a wholesome community built on improving. Early on into Quake's 2018 competitive life cycle, Crunchy solidified himself as a top 4 player, winning several early 4-season gaming tourneys. In October, Crunchy's play caught the attention of Avant, who went on to sign him, as well as his teammate Law, to represent the org at the upcoming DreamHack Winter Qualifiers at PAX that year. Unfortunately, as the finals for the qualifiers started, Crunchy became violently ill with food poisoning and was rushed to the hospital early that morning. Crunchy would be forced to miss out on the opportunity to represent Australia internationally at DreamHack Winter 2018 for Quake. As the scene began to develop and new players started to rise, Crunchy found himself slipping to top 8 finishes at Oceanic Quake Series and ITZ's Gaming Ladder Duels. Despite slipping a bit at the end of his career due to misfortune and the scene becoming stronger overall, Crunchy remained highly optimistic and credits the scene's greats like Dander King for teaching him brain over brawn for his future. Crunchy's career continued with a game every young tactical prodigy gets their start in, Counter-Strike. Crunchy bounced around from team to team in search of glory and comrades. From Conspiracy's top 8s and top 4s, to his early stint as a substitute with Riotous, to SSU Esports, and even Dry Peak back in Season 30 of ESCA Open. Crunchy's competitive career spiraled in an upward trend, as he quickly moved to the successful rosters of Avant, Surge, and Downfall.
He's low.
Crunchy's notable results begin with a brief stint for Avant in 2018. While playing competitive Quake for them, he filled in for a Gfinity Elite Series Australia Season 2 game against the Sydney Chiefs, where he finished the 16-8 on Mirage Best of 1 with a HLTV rating of 1.75. Not bad for a rookie.
Oh, Crunchy!
Let's go!
What just said?
What did you do just then?
I just ran out and got 3 headshots.
He also repped the Avant banner later in the year at the InstaFrag Premier Season 1 Finals against Paradox, where despite a rough 0-2 defeat, he was still backed by a solid individual performance. From there, Crunchy was searching for his next team to reach the upper echelon of competitive Australian Counter-Strike. 2019 started with something to soar Crunchy's career into the stratosphere. He sought out a squad of familiar names such as his teammate Exobob, who back then went by the name Senpai Madara. Together with Bob, Moojuice, JJ, and ASAP, Crunchy joined the Surge Esports roster to fill for the ESL AU NZ qualifiers, He then joined the roster later on with New Juice officially for the rest of the season.
Molotov, he is done, mate. That is the round at Crunchy. Sticking it completely. All over that one. The Scots will be allowed just to save the AK. But that's 7 in a row for Surge.
Surge, like their name would suggest, came out of the gates swinging, placing second in the ESEA Open Season 30, qualifying for MDL Season 31, as well as promoting themselves up from Cybergamer Invite First Place to Cybergamer Pro. It was now what we know as LPLC and LPL Pro. Unfortunately, the success was short-lived, and the team ended up disbanding before they had the chance to show their prowess. The end of 2019 was a quiet one for Crunchy, with minimal results other than a top 4 finish in the LPL Challenger season with Monday Moment. For the rest of the year, he took a small break from competitive CS to focus on a new game, Battalion. He formed Get Kovaxed with Deoxide and New Gunners Dream Chosis, Ez, and Provoke. Battalion unfortunately didn't have a long competitive history, but the team of Get Kovacs didn't drop a single series or a map for the entire life cycle of the game. A strong overall performance for Crunchy meant a vacation was due, and he took a step back at the end of the year to travel overseas to Europe to enjoy his time off.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Crunchy came into the new year with a revitalized passion for CS, enjoying veteran CS names like Kaisen, 2D, Moop, and Ez to form Downfall. Downfall came into the season with quite a bit to prove, and they didn't waste any time. They finished the regular season of the LPL Challenger with a record of 6-1, only dropping a close 16-14 map to Lucid. Downfall looked on fire and claimed a championship title with a 2-0 sweep of Riot Gaming in the grand finals of the first season of the 2020 LPL Challenger.
Gets shut down, and that's gonna be it, ladies and gentlemen. Downfall are your Let's Play Live Challenger champions.
The Challenger season showed that Crunchy was still the sharpshooter that burst onto the scene in 2018, and that his career was far from over. According to the commentators of that season, Matsy and Quickdraw, who had the pleasure to cast Crunchy's rise in the season, they had this to say.
Crunchy was definitely an outstanding player on the side of Downfall. I feel like the duo that shined so brightly throughout the season of Crunchy and Airs really did attribute towards their success. Like, those two guys played off each other so magnificently. They had each other's corners. They knew exactly where the blind spots were, and they had them covered. They were just a class above every single one of the other players that they faced, and it really goes to show through the results they achieved.
I mean, like, overall that season, like, they just had such a solid performance. Like, the results speak for themselves. 6-1 overall. Like, not many teams can achieve that, even in the current standings in most of the Challenger seasons prior, and even up to date. No team other than maybe one or two has achieved that feat. And, you know, Crunchy alongside that roster, like, they went on to win the season overall. And that's really just a tribute as to how good of a player Crunchy can be when he is alongside talented individuals.
In a bold leap from CSGO Championship, Crunchy decided to leave it all behind for a move over to Valorant. The Valorant scene started off as all new scenes do, finding out who the favorites are to win the first official tourneys, and we're lucky for Crunchy, there was quite a bit of hype around his new squad, the Bumble Boys. The roster consisted of players from his CS days, such as Ferg, Pred, and Deoxide, as well as newcomer Air. Starting with the bangers Crunchy is familiar with, the Bumble Boys went completely undefeated in the groups for OSGG and didn't drop a single map in the finals. They meant business.
Oh my god! I switched off it because I thought he was going to die there, but he actually destroys Mini.
After a first tournament success, the whole scene underwent a shuffle as teams weren't completely happy with their rosters yet. Crunchy and the Bumble Boys decided to ride it out with one more tourney, and for their showing at the LPL launch tournament, maybe a change was what was needed for them too. Crunchy decided to stick with Deoxide and grabbed future stars Signed and Noz, as well as Chris to round out Bumbleboy's V2. Unfortunately, lightning doesn't strike twice. This time, the Bumbleboys would finish at a respectable 5th, 6th for OS GG2. Crunchy decided it was time to leave and jumped onto a promising roster that had just won OS GG2, God Squad. Finally, Crunchy was at home, joined by CS veterans Plix, Iron, and Dizzy Life, as well as his familiar friend Bob. Exo Clan, an org known for its Apex Legends content run by Exodus, took a liking to this God Squad and decided to sign them on June 26th, 2020. Since that day, Exo Crunchy was born and molded into the almighty aim god and Omen one trick that we know today.
Never mind, what are you?
One enemy remaining.
TP short. Oh my god, that was massive, dude. Holy shit.
Under Exo, Crunchy was unleashed and ready to prove himself to the entirety of the region. It started with second place finish at the Order Oceanic Open to Team Launch, placing a target on Team Launch's back for the future. That second place is what enraged the Exo Clan roster, and they went on a tear in the Fortress Melbourne Rise of Valor Ignition series, with a first place that went completely uncontested. The Kings, unfortunately, weren't immortal just yet. After dropping another second place to Team Launch in the Mex Invitational, a few of the players from EXO were left feeling ashamed of how they played, and they went back to the drawing board. Crunchy and the gang bounced back to take out the LPL Spring Cup Challenger Division with a forfeit victory against Mindfreak. Although a little anticlimactic, they had to stay focused to wage war in the biggest tourney the region has seen. First Strike OCE. Exo Clan showed the entire region that their placings weren't just flukes or mere numbers on a screen. Exo were the real deal. They went undefeated in the Swiss stage and the groups to be seeded into playoffs as the #1 seed. In playoffs, they dispatched of Wildcard, Legacy, and Order, not dropping a single map to be crowned the OCE First Strike champions, and officially the best team in the country.
Are your OCE First Strike champions?
Crunchy has had a long road to finally be the best in the game of his choice, and his career across multiple esports is truly a testament to the phrase, "A dream does not become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work." Thank you for watching.